The culinary artist has a duty to seduce the mouth and delight the spirit. So say goodbye to overprocessed candy bars and hello to an evening with Eat My Hat. Bioshock is a philosophical survival horror first-person shooter that actually lends itself as more than just a game, but rather an experience. It takes place in 1960s Rapture, an underwater utopia far from the constraints of conventional society, the influence of gods, and the oppression of governments. Except when you arrive as Jack, the once submerged paradise is now a sunken dystopia as a result of human error. The discovery of atom and plasmids allowed a person's genetic DNA to be altered and gave them otherworldly powers. And this caused the whole city to go to hell. The story of Rapture's demise is painted through audio diaries and conversations with its various residents. Draped in Art Deco themes, it loosely alludes to what could one day become of society, and it does so in the past. Today we're going to put a little pep in our step and make a cheeky Pep Bar. It's a caramelized biscuit dipped in chocolate that restores health and can be found in vending machines, trash cans, and corpses. Now, would you kindly continue watching? Just as the game trilogy, we'll do this in 3 parts. Let's begin with the seabed of our candy bar, the vanilla snap biscuit. Combine 6.5 tablespoons of unsalted chopped butter with a half cup of superfine sugar. You know, the attractive one. And if you don't have superfine sugar, you can easily make your own by blending up a half cup of pedestrian granulated sugar for 10 seconds. This will produce the more beautiful one that dissolves faster because beauty fades. Now combine the butter and DIY sugar in the food processor. However, if you see some of yourself in me and don't have a food processor, in a medium mixing bowl, mash the butter into the sugar with a fork until smooth. Add 1¼ cup of all-purpose flour, 1 full egg yolk and half an egg white, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Combine and knead until smooth and promptly smack that dough to show it who's boss. On a lightly floured surface, poke a demonic smile into your dough and then proceed to roll it out with a cylindrical container that you use to make Mountain Dew margaritas. Keep rolling until your dough measures 9 by 9 inches, or use my ingenious method of putting your baking vessel on top and cutting off the excess dough. Although you should save that excess dough in case this isn't such a genius idea. Place your cut dough in the fridge for 20 minutes and turn your oven on to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And after 20 minutes, inject a plasmid to grow more hands and place your dough back into your parchment-lined baking vessel. Now, find your inner Dr. Steinman and fix the imperfections with that excess dough that I told you to save because this wasn't a great idea in the first place, remember? Cover the entire bottom of the pan with it. Slide this into the oven and incinerate for 25 minutes or until the edges have browned a little. Then let this baby cool for 1 hour. While you're waiting for it to cool, how about you pour a nice glass of Arcadia's finest Merlot, prepare a cold tub of ice cream, and slip into something a little more comfortable. A hand chooses, the underwear obeys. After an hour, your vanilla biscuit should be thin, cooled, crispy, and ready to be snuggled by caramel. Now know that this was once my greatest disappointment. But thanks to Inspired.net, I found the Bain de la Creme of soft caramel recipes. Begin by combining a half cup of sliced unsalted butter and a half cup of heavy cream and heat it in the microwave for 1 to 2 minutes until the butter has melted. Next, in a small, heavy-bottomed saucepan, gently pour in 3 tablespoons of water and a 1/4 cup of light corn syrup. Next, add 1 cup of granulated sugar, but for the love of Andrew Ryan, do not pour it in like a maniac. Slowly add it in so nothing splatters up the sides of the pan. Now, very softly, completely moisten the sugar with a spatula. This prevents crystallization, which would make the caramel grainy like you got some sand in there. On medium heat, bring this to a boil without mixing, and once it comes to a boil, cover with the lid for 1 minute. This is to make sure any sugar which may have gotten stuck to the sides is now not doing that. After that minute has elapsed, remove the lid and heat this to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have a candy thermometer, you can hang it on the edge, but I only have an instant thermometer, so I scour the bottom of the pan, making sure the temperature is even throughout. The moment it reaches 320 degrees Fahrenheit, pour about 1/6 of the butter heavy cream mixture in and stir it around for a few seconds till it's incorporated. Repeat with the remaining cream and butter. Your mixture will furiously bubble every time you add the dairy combo, and that's normal. But you don't want too much violence, so add it in slowly and combine carefully, as you see here. Just do what I do. The dairy is going to cause the temperature to drop, so after all of it is added, without mixing, don't even think about mixing. Don't even think of the word mixing. Bring it to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. When it reaches 240 degrees, make haste, take the caramel off the heat, and pour it into the biscuit pan.
Mr. Bubbles!
The bubbles will dissipate and you'll be left with what is essentially a deep, amber-colored mirror. You'll know it has the proper amount of reflection when you can make shadow shapes on it. After 30 minutes, sprinkle on some fancy salt and let it all cool for a few hours. Once cooled, remove your artwork from the parchment, cut your masterpiece into the desired bar size, and then set these aside in the fridge until you're ready to put your hand up on your hip while I dip you dip. We dip into the chocolate, but actually we're going to temper that first. And in order to temper the chocolate, it will require no gods or kings, only microwaves. Chocolate needs to be tempered whenever you don't want something to melt at room temperature. So we're gonna do some dollar store tempering here, but listen, it works. C's get degrees, baby. We'll begin by using 1.5 pounds of baking chocolate, 60% or less. Finely chop your chocolate so that it melts evenly, and then separate off 1/4 of it that we'll use later. Set your microwave to 50% power, place your remaining 3/4 of the chocolate into a microwave safe bowl, and nuke it for 15-second intervals. Where is the number pad? Stirring in between the 15 seconds until your chocolate has fully melted. Then stir in that 1/4 chocolate you had set aside and combine until the new chocolate has melted. This is called seeding. And it's not what you think. Get your mind out of the gutter. Make sure your new chocolate has completely melted, and if it hasn't, just nuke it for 5 more seconds and then stir. Then let your tempered chocolate sit and cool for a few minutes before coating your sugar logs. I found the easiest and classiest way to coat the bars is to duct tape some chopsticks to your bowl. You can either drizzle the chocolate on or just go ahead and dunk those bad boys right in. Either way, to get a clean finish, lightly scrape off the top and set aside on parchment paper to harden for a few hours. And feel free to top it with more salt. And here we are, your very own Pep Bar. Sweet and salty, perfectly juxtaposed textures, enough to heal the weariest of illegitimate children. Now, for quality assurance. The chocolate is pretty tempered. It has a good temperament. We're no longer angry. When you touch it, it doesn't really leave any kind of mark behind, which is really good. It doesn't melt in your hands immediately. It's not as shiny as it should be, but neither am I. Yeah, anyway, let's try it. I have to take this little pill or else I will have massive diarrhea. Cheers. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Is it weird to just stare at someone chewing food? It works because the caramel is so soft and the vanilla crisp on the bottom is so crunchy, so you get a really nice mixture. And then you have the chocolate, it's like wrapped it up like a little Christmas present. It held its own for sure. Definitely like could withstand battle. It's pretty crunchy. What you know what's cool about the caramel though is I can pull it and it's not super. It's a good catch. Not like super, like too sticky, you know, just like pliable. Do you want some? I should probably say some more informative things. It was good. It was delicious. It was flavorful. It was tasty. All of the adjectives you're not supposed to use when you're describing food, according to my producer. You should try to make this and then let me know how it turned out. Cut. Look at her apartment. It is such a mess. This is what creativity looks like, people. Yeah. This is our cameraman. Nope, not here for it. That's not the focus. No, you're not here for it?
No.
Okay, shit. Also, shout out to Jim, my very first patron. Jim, I appreciate you from the bottom of my empty little heart. Thank you so much for supporting me and patronizing me. I'm just calling to ask you to subscribe because I never want to work again. I love you too.